Welcome to Crime Recapped. Today, I will show you an action, comedy, and crime movie called Army of Thieves, released in the year 2021. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. Stuck in his boring life as a bank teller in Potsdam, Germany, but passionate about safe cracking, Sebastian Schleckwernert enthusiastically tells the narrative of a locksmith, Hans Wagner, in his relatively unsuccessful YouTube channel. He is particularly fond of Hans Wagner's life. According to him, Wagner was a legendary locksmith who created a series of 4 safes inspired by and named after the 4 operas in Richard Wagner's Ring Cycle: the Rheingold, the Valkyrie, Siegfried, and Götterdämmerung. Sebastian claims that if anyone tried to force open any of these safes, the contents would be burned and the safes would be locked forever. And while the Rheingold, the Valkyrie, and Siegfried are still rumored to be in circulation with their locations a mystery, the whereabouts of Götterdämmerung remain unknown. But one thing he knows is that Hans Wagner locked himself in the 4th safe after his wife and son died, serving as his tomb forever. After doing his dull, everyday routine, Sebastian finally receives his first view and comment that night. The viewer asks him whether he'd like to test his skills and provides an address with a password to get in. Curious, Sebastian arrives at the specified address at the appointed time, only to discover an underground safe-cracking competition. Sebastian walks in and immediately sets into the battlefield without knowing what's happening. Among the 8 competitors, Sebastian eventually wins after effortlessly winning the 3 rounds. While everyone cheers for him, he can't help but notice a mysterious woman named Gwendolyn Starr smiling at him. But all his excitement and happiness fade when he goes home alone with no one to celebrate with. The following day, Sebastian runs into Gwendolyn again in a coffee shop, where she introduces herself and says she was the one who commented on his YouTube video. Gwendolyn claims to be an internationally wanted jewel thief who is part of a gang that commits bank robberies. She discloses their attempt to rob the 3 Wagner safes and plans to recruit Sebastian as a safecracker. Gwendolyn claims they only have 96 hours before the safes are decommissioned. Although cracking the safe excites Sebastian, he is reluctant to become a criminal and doesn't jump at the chance. But then, Gwendolyn mentions that this isn't just their chance to solve Wagner's mystery, but Sebastian's only chance to leave his work for something less ordinary. She hands Sebastian a card with an address and tells him to think about it before deciding. Sebastian then goes about his business, still unconvinced by the scheme. However, he begins to feel the monotony of his daily life, filled with obnoxious clients, unsatisfying work, and solitary existence. Even while watching the news of the zombie outbreak in Las Vegas, Sebastian manages to fall asleep. However, the dreadful routine culminates when he has a nightmare about being eaten by zombies. Sebastian wakes up terrified, and as he relaxes, he notices Gwendolyn's card as her words ring in his ears. The following day, Sebastian goes to the address and accepts Gwendolyn's invitation to join her team. She then welcomes him and introduces him to the rest of the group, from the hacker Corina Dominguez, Rolf, the getaway driver, up to their very own real-life action hero Brad Cage, who builds his muscles to protect them. While Sebastian appears enthusiastic about the job and eager to learn, the team, except Gwendolyn, is wary of him due to his inexperience, awkward, and timid nature. Later that day, Corina lays out the entire strategy. The crew intends to attack the Wagner safes, owned by billionaire Bly Tanaka, in order of increasing complexity. This, however, means that the Rheingold, the first safe to be opened, will hold the least amount of money. Dismayed, Brad tells them that they're wasting valuable time on the Rheingold, which can be used to take the Valkyrie and Siegfried, which are thought to have a combined loot value of more than 140 million USD. However, Gwendolyn immediately shuts him up, stating that the heist is about more than just the money, but the quest itself. The team then travels to Paris to hit a credit union where the Rheingold is. Gwendolyn helped Sebastian sneak into the vault, while Karina distracted the bankers. Delighted, Sebastian takes his time to admire the huge golden Rheingold, and even tells Gwendolyn what it is about. After Gwendolyn convinces him to open the vault as there's no time left, Sebastian plays an opera and starts to warm up, finally putting his safe cracking skills to practical application, and while Brad distracts the bankers, Sebastian manages to unlock the safe. Sebastian is concerned about carrying all of the money, but Gwendolyn reminds him that the job is about more than just getting all of the money. It is about successfully cracking the Wagner safes, which were thought to be invincible, making them legends. Sebastian's confidence grows due to the successful operation, and he finally finds excitement and a sense of purpose in his life. Meanwhile, Delacroix of Interpol hears of this incident and suspects it must have been Gwendolyn's group who repeatedly evaded him. He came dangerously close the last time they faced off, but Brad shot him. Delacroix realizes the crew has a new safe cracker and is attempting to steal Wagner's ring cycle, giving him and his trusted deputy, Beatrix, 2 more chances to catch them. Although Beatrix believes that the zombie outbreak is more significant, Delacroix insists on finding the team instead. That night, Sebastian bonds with the crew over beer pong, sandwiches, and music as they celebrate their successful heist of the Rheingold. Karina asks him to make out, but he declines because he likes Gwendolyn, opting for Karina to reveal that Gwendolyn and Brad have a romantic history. Despite his disappointment, Sebastian spends the rest of the evening talking with Gwendolyn. He tells Gwendolyn his childhood story about how his interest in safe cracking set him apart from the other kids in his neighborhood, revealing that he wrote a comic book documenting his passion. The main character was a master safecracker and explorer named Ludwig Dieter. Gwendolyn also tells him about her life, how she started stealing, that Brad's real name is Alexis Broschini, and that she has done many stupid things in her life. Still, if she manages to pull off one really great thing, something that would be remembered, nothing else would matter. Gwendolyn also tells Sebastian that she has considered going alone without the team. If she does, she will go to Nevada in America despite the zombie outbreak, because that is where the Götterdämmerung is said to be. They laugh and fantasize about going to Nevada and cracking the Götterdämmerung together. Meanwhile, Brad is irritated by Gwendolyn and Sebastian's growing intimacy. The following day, the team is up for their second heist in Prague, and it is far more difficult due to the more complex safe and higher security. Sebastian is extremely nervous as he realizes the actual risk of the process, and the crew scrambles to calm his nerves. Still, he steels himself and walks in, with Gwendolyn following behind. Delacroix has a large team of agents encircling the bank, covering all exits. In the elevator, on their way to the vault, Sebastian confronts Gwendolyn about her history with Brad, to which Gwendolyn shrugs it off. As soon as they reach the vault, security officers await them since a guard notices irregularities in the CCTV feed due to Karina's hacking. He sets off a silent alarm and locks all elevators, forcing the team to Plan B. So, Brad enters the building disguised as a robber with a gun and a funny mask, shooting all the guards with tranquilizers to buy them some time. Meanwhile, Delacroix doesn't see anything, but he and Beatrix feel something is wrong and decide to move in. He storms into the bank with the cavalry, only to discover that the vault has been relocated to a more prestigious location. Delacroix seizes a car and drives as quickly as possible to the location. When a bank guard notices Brad, he activates the alarm, alerting the authorities and sealing all exits. On the other hand, Gwendolyn manages to fight the vault security guards. With his skills and an opera song, Sebastian finally cracks the Valkyrie after nearly fumbling it, making him and Gwendolyn overjoyed and about to share a kiss. However, Karina interrupts them on the radio for a status update so that Brad can move out. When Gwendolyn and Sebastian get the money, Brad tries to flee but is shot in the shoulder by a guard. He escapes through a window and returns to Rolf and Karina in the van. At the same time, Sebastian and Gwendolyn escape with the civilians just as Delacroix and Beatrix arrive. Brad assists Gwendolyn in getting in but pushes Sebastian away and abandons him to the cops. With no choice left, Sebastian runs away, steals a bike, and drives as far away as he can until he reaches a train. Despite his joy at escaping and accomplishment, he is crushed and pained by the betrayal. There, he realizes that he is alone once again. At the same time, everyone is upset at Brad for abandoning Sebastian, but Brad reveals they would leave him after the heist anyway. The crew fights amongst themselves. He believes he made the correct decision, and all that matters was that they escaped unscathed, claiming that Sebastian was never one of them. Brad also dismisses Gwendolyn's concerns about performing Siegfried without Sebastian, claiming they have enough money and don't need to hit it anyway. Enraged, Gwendolyn attempts to jump off the van when Brad grabs her and confesses his love for her. However, she expresses that she doesn't care and that she's finished before jumping from the van, and Karina follows her. They decide to travel to Sebastian as a group to crack Siegfried. That night, Sebastian goes home with a heavy heart. He walks into his house, but Gwendolyn and Karina are waiting for him, unbeknownst to him. They apologize for what happened, and Gwendolyn claims that the heist was all about money for Rolf and Brad, as opposed to the three of them who were in it to gain history as the only thieves in the world who crack the Wagner safes. She says that they could only carry out the Siegfried with him, and that the three of them could then go out and search for Götterdämmerung as a group. Sebastian is initially hesitant but eventually agrees, and the three of them depart for St. Moritz, where Siegfried lies in a casino. On the other hand, Delacroix decides to exercise control and wait for the alarms to sound before going in to apprehend Gwendolyn's crew, as he doesn't want to give them a chance to escape. They watch every exit of the casino. He intends to remain seated for 8 hours before the safe is removed from the casino and decommissioned. Then suddenly, his subordinate intercepts a radio transmission between Karina and Sebastian. They learn that the heist will take place at 5 a.m. He directs his team to continue observing and informs them that they will enter at the same time. The team rushes into the casino at 5 a.m. when the staff informs them that the safe was moved an hour and a half ago. Delacroix then realizes that Karina intentionally leaked their communication to confuse his team and that the safe was already with Gwendolyn. Enraged, he tries to track down the crew and hunt them before losing them again. At about the same time, Gwendolyn and Sebastian are in the truck with the safe. Sebastian is in the back, attempting to crack the Siegfried, while Gwendolyn drives the truck as steadily as possible on the spiral Swiss roads. On the other hand, Brad and Rolf arrive on the scene, having planned to let Gwendolyn, Sebastian, and Karina steal and open the Siegfried. They attempt to track Gwendolyn's phone and drive away when it pings, but Karina discovers their presence and warns Gwendolyn before being apprehended by Delacroix. Karina stays silent and innocent the whole time, but when Beatrix threatens Karina's younger brother, Karina has no choice left but to tell her where the rendezvous point is. Finally, Sebastian completes the trifecta by cracking the Siegfried. Gwendolyn and Sebastian are both emotional, and as they load the money into the bags to ditch the truck and get into a car to continue their journey, Brad and Rolf catch up with them. Brad holds a gun and tries to get Gwendolyn to take him back when she overpowers and cuffs him and Rolf as she and Sebastian move ahead. Shortly after, Delacroix arrests Brad and Rolf and pursues Gwendolyn and Sebastian. As they drive to their rendezvous point, Sebastian confesses his feelings for Gwendolyn, and the two share an intimate kiss. They get to the pier and are about to ride the boat when Delacroix appears and holds them at gunpoint. Gwendolyn surrenders herself, but Delacroix has to let Sebastian go. However, Sebastian doesn't want to leave her alone, but she promises Sebastian that she'll come to him and they'll find the Götterdämmerung together once she's free. Sebastian escapes on the boat with a heavy heart, vowing to be reunited with Gwendolyn one day. On the boat, he sees Karina's getaway passport. Sebastian notices that Gwendolyn had his name written as Ludwig Dieter, transforming Sebastian into the safe-cracker adventurer he had always wanted to be. Sometime later, Scott Ward and Maria Cruz visit Dieter's locksmith shop in California, named after Gwendolyn. They offer him the chance to open Wagner's long-lost safe, the Götterdämmerung, to which he gladly accepts. And Army of the Dead begins.